How calm is this man? Even when faced with armed robbers, he would smile and start taking money from them. But the robber went one step further and wanted the female shop assistant's ring. This is a thing left by my grandmother. Seeing that the other party refused to give up and threatened his colleagues with a gun, the man's eyes became sharp and he quickly wrote down the other party's facial features, the name on the hat and the tattoo on his neck. Suddenly, 2 children appeared in his sight, and the man calmed down, then took off the ring from his colleague and handed it to the bandit. The robber then quickly evacuated, and Denzel quickly followed and took note of the other person's license plate number. As the scene changed, she slowly walked to the shelf and secretly took away a hammer. The next day, the ring appeared in front of the female colleague, and Denzel wiped the blood on the hammer with a towel and put it back on the shelf. You can imagine what happened last night. On this day, my colleague Xiao Pang suddenly resigned because his mother's sushi restaurant caught fire. Looking at the wires on the wall, Denzel guessed that this was not a simple accident. It turned out that one day ago, 2 policemen came to collect protection money. Because the money given by the little fat mother was not enough, the 2 policemen made harsh words to burn down the store. At night, Denzel stopped the 2 people's car, took out the surveillance video of the store, and asked them to apologize to the little fat mother. After hearing this, the 2 of them were instantly angry and threatened Denzel not to meddle in his own business. But the next second, Denzel easily subdued the 2 and warned them to return the protection money, otherwise the video would be posted online. The next day, Fatty's mother got back all the fees she had paid over the years, and Denzel also saw Fatty return to work as he wished. But on this day, Denzel messed with the person he shouldn't mess with the most. This 15-year-old girl dresses herself up very sexy because she is a prostitute. Suddenly, the phone next to her rang. It turned out that her guest was waiting for her outside the door. Although the girl was very reluctant, she still pretended to hug the guest warmly, and then got into the man's luxury car. On the second day, the girl found Denzel to chat, because she was the only one here who would not discriminate against her profession. The 2 chatted very well. Just when Denzel was about to take her home, a black car suddenly parked in front of her. A man walked over. It was Xiaomei's boss. He slapped the girl without saying a word, then dragged Xiaomei into the car. Then he walked up to Denzel and handed him a business card. Said he had better ones here if needed. Denzel saw that the other party had a gun in his hand, and could only watch the girl being taken away. The next day, Denzel came to the restaurant as usual, but Xiaomei was nowhere to be seen. Suddenly, the boss said that the girl was seriously injured and was hospitalized. Later, Denzel came to the hospital and saw the dying girl on the hospital bed. He knew that it must be the damn boss who did it. At night, he decisively found Xiaomei's boss and spent $9,800 of his savings to buy the girl's freedom. After hearing this, several people began to mock mercilessly. The man smiled slightly, took back the cash on the table, and walked slowly to the door. When everyone thought he was going to get out, Denzel locked the door directly, looked back at the house, and wrote down all the available things, including wine glasses, necklaces, and bottle openers on the table, and then took out his watch and pressed the timer. Until the last person falls. Looking at the time of 28 seconds, Denzel complained that the feeling was too bad, and then walked up to the dying man. But what Denzel didn't know was that the man also had a gangster brother, Will, who came to the scene and watched his brother's tragic death. He concluded that the murderer was no ordinary person and vowed to avenge his brother. In the restaurant, the man recognized the cleaner at a glance as a fake because his hands were so tender. After hearing this, the man stopped pretending and took out his weapon and threatened Denzel to follow him. I saw the man was calm, and the next second, after easily killing the opponent, he cut off the power with a knife, then walked out of the restaurant and kept taking pictures of Will with his cell phone. Several people got out of the car angrily when they saw this, and Denzel quickly evacuated the scene. It turns out that just yesterday, Will kidnapped Xiaomei's best friend and learned from the woman that Denzel had visited Xiaomei in the hospital. After talking to the woman, Will brutally strangled her to death. Later, the man found Denzel, lied that he was a police officer, and asked her if she had been at the crime scene. But Denzel saw the problem at a glance. Then, Will took out a photo of the girl's best friend and said that he had accidentally fallen to death. He then arranged for his men to kill Denzel, but was easily subdued by the man. At night, a group of killers sneaked into Denzel's apartment and they searched after checking all the rooms. The man was not found. It turned out that Denzel had expected this and hid in the house opposite the building in advance. There were many cameras placed in the house, watching their every move. The next day, Denzel found his friends in the CIA and asked for help in investigating Will's identity. He soon learned that he worked for a transnational gang and they did all kinds of evil. Later, Denzel found a warehouse in Wool, which ostensibly sold raw meat, but actually laundered a large amount of black money. At this time, the man used the gun to scare Denzel away. The next second, in the end, Denzel called the police and blew up another ship where Wool was laundering money, causing trillions of dollars to disappear instantly. After learning the news, Wool was completely angered. Since he couldn't catch Denzel, he kidnapped his colleague.
I'm in Albuquerque in 30 minutes.
In order to save people, Denzel must go. They locked the location through positioning, but on the bus, Denzel disappeared, leaving only the mobile phone he was using to make calls. At the same time, the younger brother seemed to have noticed something unusual. When he turned his head, he was knocked to the ground by Denzel in a few clicks. He dragged him into the cabin and used the walkie-talkie to trick others into coming. Denzel asked the fat boy to bait him. He punched the opponent hard from behind, and then asked Xiaopang to lead his colleagues to escape first. Wu also realized that it wasn't right, and brought his two younger brothers over to support, while Denzel began to arrange things in the warehouse. Make trap. Even though it was pitch dark here, this warehouse felt too familiar. Suddenly, one of the boys stepped on the trap, and Denzel immediately pushed down a heavy object, and the man was hanged alive. The other killer heard the sound of water drops and looked up, only to find that it was his teammate. He was KO'd before he could react. At this time Wu also discovered him and started shooting. Upon seeing this, the man quickly ran into the small room and saw that all his men fell to the ground and died, but Wu did not panic at all. Suddenly he found Fatty, who was about to leave. Fatty was so frightened that he quickly hid in the room. Seeing the man getting closer and closer, when he was about to kill the killer, he was suddenly shot in the hand from behind. When he turned around, he saw that it was Denzel holding the steam nail gun in his hand. Wu wanted to get up to resist, but the man decisively shot him again. In the end, Wu died in a pool of blood. This is a very watchable and enjoyable action movie. Although some of the plots are unscientific, it is a joy to watch.